Feast TV is brought to you with the support from Missouri Wines, Caldy's Coffee, Old Time Produce, and the Raphael Hotel.
Time to clear the air for the smoked episode. I'm Cat Neville, and this is Feast TV. Smoke is elemental, and it's something that we connect with barbecue. I mean, low and slow over smoldering embers. That's something that is iconically American. But there's a lot more to cooking with smoke than just classic barbecue. And we're going to see a number of different ways that people employ smoke flavor to food across our region. Our first stop is in Belleville, Illinois at Beastcraft Barbecue. They are sticking with tradition.
We're here at Beastcraft Barbecue Company in Belleville, Illinois, just about 12 miles outside of St. Louis. This building was an institution here in Belleville for almost 50 years as a beautiful diner, and the location's amazing. We couldn't have picked a better spot. I actually received a phone call from a friend in the business that told me that the space was available. We were really excited about it because we live in this area. We're from this area, we love this area, so for this building to come available at the time and the location, it was like it was meant to be or something. So I'm a fine dining chef, actually, that kind of fell out of love with the scene. I wanted to do something that really hit home with people, something that just hit people in the chest. You know what I'm saying? I don't really have a set style, would probably be the best way to put it. I do whatever I want, whenever I want. That's the style. I like to call it chef-driven, backyard, whatever I want. That's pretty much it. I really wanted to bring in what St. Louis was known for, which to me means a lot of grilling and basting. There's a lot of specific cuts associated with that we focus on. We're taking some of our smoked meats, like the pork steaks and the ribs, and we're grilling and basting them on the grill to get that nice crust on the outside with the rub and the sauce. It's absolutely amazing.
So now we're back in the smoking area. So tell me about how you got this first smoker and how many you have acquired since.
I was lucky enough to have a beautiful wife who's really good at finding good deals on things. And we actually got this out of Iowa, very, very cheap in a restaurant that had recently shut down. Unfortunate for them, but great for us. And we thought that it would just be absolutely overkill for the amount of seats that we had out front, and man, were we wrong. We ended up buying a new smoker every 6 months since we've opened. We now have 6, and we have the second largest smoking capacity in the region. But we can put out as much as 5,000 pounds at a time here.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Especially considering how many barbecue restaurants there are in the St. Louis area.
Yeah, we use what we call all killer, no filler as a mantra. And it just means that everything that we put our hands to is the absolute best that we can possibly put it out, or it doesn't hit the menu, it doesn't hit the plate. We invest a lot of money in making sure that everything is top-notch all the time. And that's what separates us from everybody else.
How many people are you serving in a day?
Around 400 to 500 people a day.
And so how often are you pulling things out of the smoker?
We don't do the fresh daily thing anymore. Everything is within a few hours of being outside of the smoker all day until we sell out.
This is the pork steak. So let's explain to those of you who are not from St. Louis what the pork steak is, because it's probably one of the most popular cuts of meat here.
It is. This is our top selling item on the menu. It's a cross section from the Boston butt, and we found a Duroc bloodline that is super, super well marbled, beautiful deep red in color, very clean in its flavor profile, and absolutely
incredible. It looks like
incredible.
a steak.
It does, yeah. It really looks and performs like a ribeye does.
That's amazing.
The pork steak is a St. Louis staple. It's hard to find anywhere else. Ours is very, very thick. It starts at about 30 ounces raw and smoked on hickory, and then it's grilled on the charbroiler with the rub and the sauce.
In our meat presentation here, I also see the snoot, which does not look terribly delicious or inviting, but it actually is, right?
It's absolutely incredible. It's my favorite thing on the menu. It's so rich and just so salty, and it takes to flavors really well. We don't even have to add a lot of smoke to it. It just goes in the pit, does its own thing, comes out incredible.
So is it chewy? Is it crispy? Because I mean, it's mostly skin. Is there cartilage in the nose?
So we actually trim the cartilage out, but it is mostly skin and fat, and it comes out really, really crispy. And once it's in the simmering sauce for a few minutes, it loosens that stuff up just enough to be very palatable.
So it's kind of like a pork rind a little bit.
Yep, just like a pork rind.
I've never had a snoot, so I might have to try one while I'm here.
You should.
I think I'm gonna have to try one.
Snoot is actually the mask, the face of the pig. It's not something that's popular anywhere else, really, but growing up here, it's one of those essential barbecue items here. And I would question you as a barbecue restaurant here in the St. Louis area if you're not serving snoot in some way. Everything is handmade, everything is super fresh, as local as it possibly can be. We like to feature our Brussels sprouts. They're our top selling side, believe it or not. We sell more Brussels sprouts than French fries in this place. We do this amazing pit bean that's smoked underneath the brisket on white oak, and we have our award-winning mac and cheese. Sourcing is very important to us, and we like to do it as local as possible. But when it comes down to it, if we've got to choose between locality and quality, we always go quality. We source the best pigs in the country from Compart Family Farms in Minnesota. This is a pig that it wins on the competition circuit all the time. Considered the best pig in the country. We also serve Snake River Farms Wagyu brisket. We're the only ones in the area serving Wagyu brisket. We have a very large selection of craft beers here. We're craft beer only, and we do that because we like to pair the meats with the beers. As local as possible, but if we find a really great beer that's out of state or out of our immediate area, we'll go ahead and get that into. We have a selection of almost 75 beers to pair our meats with. We don't consider anything an amenity in our restaurant. If it's going to go on our menu, it's going to be the best that we can possibly do it, or it won't make the cut for the day. If you're not doing it your best, that's sacrilegious to me.
And of course, even vegans like the flavor of barbecue. And so next up, we're heading to Kansas City to meet the guy behind Peaceful Pig. Vegan and barbecue. Those are two words that don't seem like they're gonna go together, but you're gonna prove us wrong today.
We're gonna try.
Yeah.
We're gonna try.
So how'd you get into it?
Well, this started as a labor of love. Being a vegan, going out into the city for whether it's festivals or street vending, there are very, very limited options. I didn't know anything about cooking. So when I started this, I was completely green. All of this is done by trial and error.
Wow.
And I can tell you it's a lot of error.
So we're in this kind of shared use commercial kitchen where you make all of your barbecue and everything that you sell, but you have a cart that you actually sell out of. It's kind of the size of a hot dog cart, is that right?
It's exactly the size of a hot dog cart. The little pig is actually set up ready for us once our food is done being prepared. We have the ability to stand like you and I are standing now and have that face-to-face interaction. And I think that personal touch is also really what Peaceful Pig Vegan Barbecue is about. It's about trying to bring people together. We have a shared commonality, and that thing is food.
So you said you wanted to do something vegan, but why did you go toward barbecue? Because there's a lot in the world of vegan food that you could have been making.
Completely selfish reasons. When I went vegan several years ago, people asked me, well, what do you miss the most? Is it a steak? Is it is it a hamburger? And I was like, no, the thing that I really miss being in Kansas City is barbecue.
Okay, so now I want you to explain what this thing is here on your cutting board.
This beautiful, beautiful fruit is what we use to make our pulled jackfruit sandwich. Once people found out that you could use jackfruit for barbecuing or a shredded chicken alternative, you're starting to see it more and more.
So can you show me how you make this vegan barbecue?
We are going to do it right now.
Okay, good.
So this is really, really hard to deal with. It goes through a long bathing process in a water, a salt, a citric acid.
So you're brining it.
Essentially brining it. And again, it pulls all that sweetness out, and it's going to shred just like you would see a boiled chicken breast with forks pulling apart.
Cool. That's really good. It's mild. And it's really juicy.
It's kind of strange to think about, but it really is kind of like a cooked chicken breast.
It really is.
It's kind of got that consistency, and that's why it obviously works so well as a substitute. This is what it looks like after it gets a little facial, it gets a little massage.
That looks completely different.
It looks completely
Oh, I'm so
different.
surprised. Look at that.
It's a long, long process to get it to this format. So what we are now charged with is getting some gloves on.
Okay.
And starting to pull. You're just gonna feel it.
Oh, wow.
And you're gonna
it's
kind
so
of
soft.
flake it up. Obviously, being a vegan food cart, we knew there was going to be people who said, you can't do Kansas City barbecue vegan, come on. But we didn't want people to say automatically without trying our food that, well, we're not really barbecue. So what we did is we researched what are the attributes that make Kansas City barbecue. And that is wood smoked, which we do, we use a hickory smoke. And then the sauces are all tomato and molasses based. We may not have our side of pig ribs or our beef brisket, but we are barbecue. We just substitute the animal products for things like what you're seeing here, or portobello mushrooms, or eggless mayonnaise for our coleslaw, and we've had a good response with it. People have been open to trying it, even if they're not vegetarian or vegan, which has been really exciting.
I think that you can, like you're saying, replicate the experience of eating barbecue without meat. It's that texture, really, that you're looking for to carry the flavors.
We have our meat pulled. We are going to add the highly secretive and unlabeled dry rub that is original to Peaceful Pig Vegan Barbecue.
You said this is highly secretive.
Yeah, actually you're not supposed to touch it since it's secretive. I'm kidding.
Oh, it smells great.
That's the plan. Good, good. Yeah, so this is a rub that we created. Our dry rub with the hickory smoke that we've got in our oven is really going to make this jackfruit sing. It's going to be beautiful, and you kind of get some excitement knowing that you're getting ready to have some sweet, sweet smells, some great flavors, and we feel that you got to have a good vibe about it. You got to enjoy it. You got to appreciate it because, look, we don't do this to make millions of dollars.
You don't run a vegan barbecue cart to make millions of dollars?
Believe it or not, you don't. There's a reason that Warren Buffett doesn't have a line of vegan barbecue in the Midwest. But we do it because we like doing it. We're having fun. We're gonna smoke this for a little bit, and then we're gonna add some of our homemade, original, peaceful barbecue sauce. And the first thing you do before you move it is you cross your fingers and you hope that you don't drop it, because then if that happens, you just cry and go home. Just turn the heat down a little bit more, let that finish.
So we followed Edward here to get a glimpse of his lunch service, and even in the rain, people are lining up for his vegan barbecue. Check it out. I am here in California, Missouri to get behind the scenes at Burgers Smokehouse, which has been making traditional Ozark smoked meats since 1952.
The company really started small, like most family businesses do, and kind of emerge over time. We have a newspaper clipping out of the Kansas City Star that goes back to 1927 that made reference to my grandfather selling hams off the family farm, and really the beginning of the modern business that exists today really started in 1952, and we are now in our 4th generation. There is a tremendous amount of pride and a sense of stewardship in continuing the legacy that the family started years ago.
So I'm standing here with Keith, who is the Senior VP of Operations. Essentially, he makes the entire plant run, and you're going to show me what's behind, essentially, door number 1.
That's correct. Very good to have you all here, and we're excited to have you here to see our plant. This is a slicing room for us. We're slicing into steaks in here for various restaurant customers and retail customers. And these operators are very skilled in what they do. The different knife operators here are taking that product out of a whole bone-in ham and making it into consumer-sized cuts. And we're doing dry cure country ham. A country ham is an old-fashioned dry cured ham like your great-great-grandparents had prior to the time that they had refrigeration in the United States. So there would be a time that they would take these products and salt them down in the winter, and then it would give them a food supply or a meat supply through the summer.
And when you eat good Southern food,
That's correct.
this is what you're eating.
That's correct.
In my
Country
mind,
ham.
this is real ham.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh yeah, good stuff.
Ian Berger was our founder. The actual recipe that we use on the country ham was from Ian's mother.
Okay.
And she came over from Germany and brought this process with her. So that's kind of what Ian followed as he developed the product.
An old German recipe is making good old-fashioned American country ham.
That's correct.
I love it.
These are the raw hams that come in. We rub these hams, try to get the right amount of salt on them.
And this is not just salt, because I can smell.
That's correct. There's a cure mixture in there. These are smokehouses. This is where we cook some of our barbecue items. You can kind of smell the smoke in here.
You can definitely smell the smoke in here.
But we can smoke 40 racks, which will be about 2 tractor trailer loads of country hams in here at one time.
Wow.
That's how we make smoke. And we take sawdust, put in the bottom, and start it. A fire down there.
Wow.
And then we snuff it out with wet sawdust, and then that's what makes it smolder.
That smells so good. Is there a particular kind of sawdust?
We use hickory and applewood and pecan.
This is kind of the drying down portion for the hams. And it's developed this mold. So can you tell me about that?
Country ham is a fermented product, just like cheese or whatnot. And mold is a natural part of its curing process and its drying down process. So the mold comes, and that's many times part of the flavor profile that you get with that product.
What I love is that food is coming back to its roots.
Yes.
And like you're saying, not a lot of people dry cure because they want to get it out, they want to make their money fast.
Right.
And you're taking your time and making a truly authentic, old-fashioned product.
We cure somewhere in the neighborhood of 600,000 of the country hams a year.
600,000. Wow. I didn't realize it was that many.
Yep.
And that's just the ham.
That's just the ham. That's correct. Yes. That's,
You make a lot more than ham.
that's just the country hams, right? Yes.
Country ham is certainly how the company got started and continues to this day to provide over half of the company's revenue. But over the last 60 years, we've added a full line of cured and smoked meats. Our products are available throughout the United States. You may be eating our products and may not even know it because they are available in restaurants and in some cases in grocery stores, but under another label.
So how much bacon are you producing?
We will do, 1.5 to 2 trailer loads a week, so about 80,000 pounds a week.
Wow, that's amazing.
This here is a staging cooler for the smokehouses. Inside here, there's about 16,000 pounds of ribs we'll be processing this week. So, and they're all dry cured also, dry rubbed.
And then they're gonna end up in the same smokehouse.
That's correct.
16,000 pounds.
Yep.
In 1 week.
Yep.
Okay, that's
Yep.
amazing.
This is the mail order facility where we do direct to consumer stuff.
Look at that box full of ham.
Yeah,
So you sell whole hams then too?
that's correct.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like box overflowing with ham.
Yeah.
Stephen and Keith have loaded me up with some goodies, so I think it's about time we get into the kitchen and cook. So we just left Burgers Smokehouse, and like I said, they sent me home with tons of amazing stuff, including this country ham. And this is the traditional country ham that hangs for many, many days. In fact, they hang it for over 90, and it develops tons of amazing flavor, including flavor from all that great smoke. So I wanted to come up with a way to really use this product that would enhance the flavor, but not just be a ham steak like you see, for breakfast with some red eye gravy, although that is pretty amazing. This is a very traditional Southern style approach. We're gonna be making spoon bread, which essentially is a souffle, except when you call it spoon bread, it's a lot less intimidating. You're gonna see it's actually pretty easy. And we're going to be using whole milk, stone ground grits, tons of wonderful eggs, aged cheddar, and of course this country ham. So this is our ham steak. And if you were just gonna throw it in a hot pan and serve it with some grits and some hot coffee, that would be perfectly fine. But I am gonna dice this up. I'm gonna take the rind off because it is a little bit tough. And you'll see that there still is that wonderful bone. That's a big part of where this very traditionally country cured ham gets its flavor. That and all the time spent in those drying racks. So I'm just gonna take the bone out, and I'm just gonna dice it up. I'm gonna go ahead and separate out my eggs. I have 6 total eggs. I need 3 yolks and 3 whites. Put my yolks in there, and I'm gonna put my whites in my stand mixer. I'm gonna whip them up. While this is going, I'm going to whisk these 3 egg yolks until they're nice and light yellow. Okay, now I'm gonna shift over here. So I have 3 cups of whole milk, and you really do want the whole milk because you want the flavor that the fat brings to the dish. A little bit of salt, a couple grinds of pepper, and I'm gonna bring this up to a boil. And once it does reach the boiling point, then we're gonna add in 1 cup of stone ground grits. You can use non-stone ground if that's all you can find, but for flavor and texture, stone ground is definitely the way you wanna go. Now I'm gonna stir in 4 tablespoons of butter because it's not rich enough already, and 1 cup of shredded sharp cheddar cheese. You want it to have a good punch of flavor, and then that wonderful dry aged ham. So here I have my beaten egg yolks, and if you've ever seen the word tempering used in a recipe, that's what we're gonna do with these egg yolks. And essentially you add a little bit of the hot mixture to the egg yolks and mix it together. The idea is that you don't want the egg yolks to cook, and so you gradually add in the hot ingredient. Once you've added a good amount, then you can add all of it. And next, we're gonna fold in our stiffly beaten egg whites. This is what is going to give the souffle that beautiful height and light texture. I'm gonna pour this into a prepared pan, and all that means is that I've buttered the dish, and then I'm gonna put it in a 375-degree oven until it's puffy and golden. It's probably gonna take about 25 minutes. And there you go. You can really smell the beautiful sweetness of the corn and the funkiness of that ham and then that beautiful cheddar. I can't wait to dig in, but I have to let it rest. And as it rests for a little bit, it is going to deflate. So don't feel like you did something wrong when this beautiful puffy golden spoon bread comes out of the oven and then kind of sinks in once it cools down. That's normal, and it's going to happen. I'm gonna go ahead and pour myself a glass of wine while I'm waiting. This happens to be by La Chance Vineyards in Augusta. This is a Doré, which is a new hybrid that is being grown here in Missouri. And the Doré grape is similar to a Chardonnay. This has a beautiful kind of acidic nose, a really bright character to it. It's gonna be a really good pair with this rich spoon bread. That's wonderful. You have that sweetness of the grits, but the really beautiful smoky, pungent flavor of that Burgers Smokehouse ham, it just goes throughout the entire dish. I'm gonna stand here and eat this spoon bread, and I'll see you next time.